All right, so let's talk about SEO. We got a question the other day or yesterday or whatever it was. Hi, Rachel. I see you. So Rachel asked the question, what is SEO and why is it important? I think this is a really good basic question to talk about, especially because if you Google this, you are going to get the craziest shit on earth. Like, honestly, you're going to get a bunch of articles that are saying everyone should do SEO. It's the most important thing you should on earth. If you're not doing it, you deserve to have your ears cut off. Yeah, so what is SEO? Let's talk about that. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And it is, if you go to Google and let's say you're searching for a dentist in your area and you go to Google and you search dentist in Cincinnati or something like that. SEO is the activities that help a company show up in the search engines for that keyword. So if I'm a dentist in Cincinnati and I want to rank obviously at the top for dentists in Cincinnati, or at least be there somewhere so people can find me, I'm going to do certain activities that are going to help make it more likely that Google's going to rank my site near the top. There's a few things we got to keep in mind about SEO. So one of the really important things is to think of what role Google's playing here. So Google is almost like your friend that's trying to make a recommendation of what you should do. So think about this. Like if you come to me and you say, hey, John, I need a new dentist. As you can see, I got a grill I got to fix, and I need to find the best dentist in Cincinnati. And we're good friends, right? And I want you to sort of think of me as somebody who makes good recommendations. I'm going to be a little bit careful in my recommendation, right? I'm not just going to be like, yeah, Jim Bob's dental agency down the street and Billy Bob freaking Frankencorn's teeth whitening service run out of a food truck. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to recommend, if I know any dentists, I'm going to try to recommend the best dentists for you to go to. Because I care about you, you're my friend, and because I respect you and I don't want you to go to Jim Bob's teeth whitening service in the back of a food truck. That could be bad. You would hate me afterwards if it went wrong. So I take that seriously as somebody who sort of has a vested interest in our relationship. And you can think of Google as the same way. Google's like your friend making recommendations. They have a vested interest in making good recommendations to you, and that is that you keep coming back to Google. If Google makes good recommendations for you for whatever you're searching for, you're more likely to keep coming back and using Google rather than jumping over to Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or any of these other search engines that are out there. And that's really what keeps you using Google. Google's returning better results and providing a better experience than any of the other search engines because it's fairly easy to switch. Google takes that seriously, and they have a pretty serious vested financial interest in making those recommendations be good ones. You can almost think of the front page as like, these are the pages that Google recommends are probably the best fit out of the entire internet, out of everything on the internet for what you just searched. And if you think so, if you find what you're looking for in those pages, then you keep coming back to Google. So we have to think about Google that way. And because of that, we can also sort of infer some things about how Google ranks websites. First, they want to rank the best quality page for what you're looking for based on your search term. So if you Google dentists in Cincinnati, they're not going to show you football stadiums. They're not going to show you sports teams in Cincinnati. They're not going to show you a list of high schools in Cincinnati. You ask for dentists. So one of the key things that Google needs to do is figure out what you want. Like, what do you mean when you search dentist in Cincinnati? That's obvious to us, to you and I. Like, if you come to me and say dentist in Cincinnati, I know what you mean, but I'm a person. Google's a computer, and they need to automatically figure this stuff out. So they watch user behavior to figure out what you want. They also use a whole bunch of like language processing and stuff like that, but a big piece of this, but even that, like a computer can never really know what you want. And you all know this because you use Siri, and Siri like screws up half the texts, half the requests. We all have this experience of Siri just being really quite terrible. And that's because computers are not very good at understanding language yet. Google tries to use some of that language processing, and admittedly, Google's a lot better at it than Siri is. But even so, they're still not that great. So they use a lot of this language processing. And then what else they use is user behavior. So they watch what you do. Google will, for example, if you search dentist in Cincinnati, and let's say Google has no idea what that term is, or let's say Google has some idea what that term is, but they're not quite sure what people want. Like, are people looking for teeth whitening services in Cincinnati? Or are they looking for just general dentists? Or are they looking actually for orthodontists and they type dentist? And there's a lot of sort of ambiguity in search terms, and people sometimes don't know what they want, and they search one thing and they're actually looking for another. And so Google has to try to figure all that stuff out if they're going to give you the best result. And one of the ways they do that is they look at user behavior. If I'm Google and you search dentist in Cincinnati, I can show you a list of things that I think might be a fit for you. So if I'm not sure, I could show you dentists that do teeth whitening. I could show you cosmetic dentists. I could show you a few general dentists. I could show you a few orthodontists if maybe you wanted that. And then I could watch what you clicked on. And if enough people clicked on the general dentists, I could say, all right, well, I think most people searching dentists in Cincinnati are just looking for general dentists in Cincinnati. And I could get even more specific with that. I could say, it looks like most people are looking for general dentists in Cincinnati within 10 miles of the city center. Or maybe it's not 10 miles of the city center. Maybe most people are searching from like up in Mason, like 20, 30 minutes north of Cincinnati or something like that. So I can start to infer what people are actually looking for based on what they're clicking on. And I can just throw stuff in there and test it out. And Google's doing that all the time. They're constantly mixing up the search results and trying to measure what the impact of that is, both on your behavior and also like on how much money they're making in ads and clicks on ads and things like that. So they're going to look at user behavior big time. And so SEO is all this activity that helps give Google the right signals that say, hey, this page should rank at the top. A big component of SEO is brand awareness. I would argue that brand awareness is probably 60% of the ranking algorithm. This is why I say if you're a brand new company, you probably shouldn't even be doing SEO unless there's just no competition or very little competition, or you're gonna you can do it. There's ways to do it, but it's a little more complex. And the reason I say that is because based on my experience, a huge portion of ranking in Google is just brand awareness. And that's because of, if you think about the referral situation, right? If I know a bunch of dentists, but there's this other Jim Bob's teeth whitening service out of the back of a van. I don't really know them that well. Nobody else I know knows them. I haven't gotten any reviews on them. I don't know much about them. I'm probably going to avoid recommending them. They could be the greatest teeth whiteners on planet Earth. They could be incredible, right? It could just be the best experience ever. You could get your teeth whitened and then get some street tacos right after that. And it's just like everybody's fun and it's awesome. And it's just like this party at this thing. And it could be the greatest experience ever. I'm still not going to recommend it because I don't know anything about it. And there's a big risk there if I don't know anything about it. And so that's kind of why Google is very hesitant to rank sites that don't have a lot of brand awareness unless there's no competition, because there's a lot of risk there for them. It's like, this could just be some kid in his mom's basement that put up a freaking page, and now he's trying to scam you out of your credit card. So when you call him up, you call up Jim Bob's teeth whitening service, it's actually just this dude in his mom's basement, and he's going to ask for your credit card and he's going to steal it and then go out. Anything like that could happen, right? So Google's trying to measure brand awareness as sort of like a minimum barrier to entry to start getting ranked. So let's go back. So SEO, so what is SEO? SEO is all the activity that tells Google what's going on. So after you have the brand awareness, which isn't, you can build brand awareness in search and SEO. You can definitely do it. It takes a lot of money. You have to have a pretty healthy budget to do that, and you have to know what you're doing. So you can do that. But after you've got brand awareness, there are a bunch of activities you can do to sort of signal to Google that you should rank. And the number one thing you can do is do stuff that amps up those user behavior signals. And what is that going to be? It could be a lot of stuff, but really the primary way you get ranked in search now, today, this didn't always used to be the case, but the primary way you get ranked in search is by figuring out what people are looking for, what your audience is looking for when they search a certain term, because that's what Google's doing. Okay, remember that dentist in Cincinnati thing? I said we talked about how Google might put an orthodontist there and a teeth whitening service there and all this kind of stuff. You have to do the same thing. So if you want to rank for dentist in Cincinnati, you need to figure out when people search dentist in Cincinnati, what are they actually looking for? Are they looking for a dentist, or are they looking for an orthodontist? And that's not even us. And then we shouldn't even go after that term, right? So you have to kind of figure out what people are looking for. That's a little bit of a challenge. I can talk about that a little bit more in future videos. I'm sure we will. But I mean, the short of it is you just have to understand your user. You have to talk to them, talk to customers, ask them how they search. You know, if you know the industry, you can often really just sit down and brainstorm and figure out what keywords people are probably searching and what they're probably looking for when they're searching that. It helps to understand this whole process of how search works. But so anyway, the way you get ranked is you create content that is a match for what someone's looking for when they search a given search term. And then what happens is Google says, hey, look, out of all these pages on the internet, this one's pretty good. It's a pretty good match for people searching dentists in Cincinnati. So let's rank that page at the top. And then you start to see rankings improve. Now there are thousands. If you Google SEO ranking factors, all this other stuff, you're gonna see all kinds of shit. You're gonna see like meta titles and meta descriptions and keyword density on the page and like backlinks and like all of these things. The important thing to keep in mind about all that stuff when you're thinking about SEO is that pretty much all of that stuff is just an imperfect way of measuring quality. It's like Google's a machine. They don't have a probe planted in your brain, and they can't like see what you're thinking as you're typing a search term into Google and as you're going through the results. They can't just see exactly what you're thinking at any moment. I'm sure they would like to if they could, but they can't. And so they have to figure that out using less perfect methods. So they look at what you click on and things like that. The other thing, all of those other factors like meta titles and backlinks and meta descriptions, all of those other factors that you might find if you research this online are just imperfect ways of measuring quality. So they're just ways that Google, as a machine, they're saying, hey, we can't measure this stuff directly or perfectly. So we're going to use all these other things to try to sort of infer which of these pages is the best one. What they've been doing lately, I focus on user behavior, and I didn't even mention all those other things that much because those are all kind of old school, and they're also becoming less and less important. And not to say they don't have an impact, but they're becoming far less important. What's really, really, really crucial, it's like the price for entry for SEO now, and often you can get ranked just doing this, is understanding what somebody wants. Well, first, let's take a step back and say, you have to know what keyword your audience is searching. Let's say a dentist, I want to rank for dentists in Cincinnati. Well, maybe everybody searching dentists in Cincinnati is actually just looking for teeth whitening, right? And if you don't offer teeth whitening, then you don't want to rank for that term. So you kind of have to figure out what your target customer is searching in the first place, because it's not always intuitive. Then take the next step and say, what are they looking for when they search that specifically? And then the next step is to say, how do we create content that gives them what they want as quickly, easily as possible, better than the competition that's out there? And Google rewards you for that. And so that activity of creating content to meet what we call intent, the intent of someone's search, is SEO. And that's it. Hopefully that answers the question.